नमस्कार. वृक्ष कबहु न फल भखे, नदी न संचय नीर, परमारथ के कारणे साधुन धरा शरीर. संत कबीर दास के इस दोहे को चरितार्थ करते हुए हम फॉक्सियंस अब गर्व से ही कह सकते हैं, हर घर फॉक्सियंस. द सीक्रेट ऑफ सक्सेस lies in rejecting all the unproductive thoughts and using best of the present movement to our full ability. With these words, myself, Dr. Kanchan Sharma, the chairperson of Non-Communicable Disease Committee, Fogsi, welcome you all to this 31st podcast series of Gyan Pravah, means the flow of knowledge. As you all are hearing in all the other 30 podcasts, this brilliant idea of the podcast is conceptualized and harvested by our beloved, visionary, and devoted Foxy President, Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar Madam. She is devoted to Foxy 24/7 and all the 365 days. About her, I can say that she is a lady with divine purity and devotion. She believes in making the leaders. According to her, the devotion is not a mysterious gift, but can be cultivated by regular efforts. She is world's renowned IVF specialist and minimally invasive surgeon, and she is a great orator. So, with great sense of pleasure and gratitude, I am inviting you, madam, to welcome another legendary figure, Dr. Ashish Sethi sir, who has made records not only in academics but also in triathlon swimming. So, over to Madam for giving us blessings.
Thank you. Thank you, Kanchan. Thank you for such a kind words of yours. And thank you for getting the faculty like Ashish ji. When I read about his biodata, I felt so pleased. And I always think that certain committee chairperson like yourself, or maybe the one with the environment, the one with the public health, violence against women, they got sometimes the challenges which faculty they can just rope in, which will be right fit to their subject. And I think again and again, all my team members are proving themselves. Now, this podcast series is of 30 days, 30 chairperson. So you will have every month on 28 Kanchan coming to you. Since January had 31 days, this became 31st podcast, because whichever month you have 31, I will be there on that month. Friends, this podcast series is one of the beautiful Gyan Pravah, which is completely curated for our committee chairperson. Committee chairpersons are working non-stop. They work for their own committee with various projects of Foxy President, but above all, this Gyan Pravah has become 8 p.m. dedicated activity of every one of them. And believe me, the amount of enthusiasm, creation, passion they show when they do this podcast, it touches my heart. I'm absolutely obliged, grateful to them that they are the reason why Gyan Pravah is most successful. They feel that I gave them the platform to have the freedom. They don't know how much they are giving me in back. 365 days, 365 podcast series. 5 years down the line, also, if I wish to just sit somewhere and hear every day 45 minutes podcast, it will be one of the most cherished moment of my presidency. I think so. Today, when she got Ashish sir, it was wonderful to know that all your activities, what you do, of course, Kanchan has the right to introduce you more better way or official way. But sir, it is a great pleasure to meet you, the person who has motivated everyone and motivated by self example. Sometimes would love to meet you in person, definitely, sir. Especially whenever I will come to Baroda, I will be. But I can say Baroda is probably the land of intelligence and lot of culture, because this is in 30 days we have second faculty from Baroda with us. So welcome on a Foxy platform, sir. And I'll be listening to both of you from different link. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kanchan.
Thank you, ma'am.
Though I'll
Thank
be
you,
here
madam,
to hear about sir before I leave.
for your wonderful words of blessings. I can understand that work requires dedication, divine purity, and perseverance. So is our today's guest, Dr. Ashish Sethi sir. He is MBBS from Baroda University, MD in the internal medicine, and DM Gastro from PGI Chandigarh. He was so sharp in studies that he gained gold medal in all the 5 subjects. He was the professor in Department of Medicine in Baroda, and he did more than 10 national and international publications. In spite of being associated with so many academics, his special interest is triathlon swimming. And to our surprise and enthusiasm, he has completed the Ironman 70.3 event and in Goa in 2019, and even made the records in sea swimming 3 kilometers in Melbourne in 2018, and even 5 kilometers swimming in Porbandar in 2019 and 2022. So, sir, we all are honored by your presence. Thank you. It's my privilege. I am honored and humbled to be in the same frame with such a great two legendary figures. Thank you. Thank you, madam, for giving us.
I thank both of you for very kind words, and I'm honored myself to be a part of today's program. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So, sir, it's really my privilege and honor that I am here to ask about few questions from you. So, sir, we all have dreams, but in order to make dreams come true, fruition, it takes an awful lot of determination, dedication, and self discipline and efforts. So, we want to hear your success story in your own words that, in spite of being such a busy and brilliant academician, you how you followed your passion of swimming. Sir, in your own words.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kanchan, again for inviting me and allowing me to share my experiences and my thoughts. Uh, my swimming journey is from my childhood. I used to be a swimmer right from my childhood, but because of my breaks of medicine practice, MBBS, MD, and then gastroenterology, I lost touch with swimming for a pretty long time. But swimming is a sport or a activity which you don't forget. That is ingrained in your brain. So whenever you restart, you come to know that you are able to do it. So when I restarted, it was in the when I was at 43 years old. The whole incident or the whole thing is very difficult or something silly to describe in the sense that while playing cricket, I got injured. It was in the year 2012, uh, and we used to play recreationally on a Sundays, and I got right-sided meniscal tear of the knee. At that time, I must be weighing around 100 kilos or so. And then when I consulted the orthopedics and then I was advised surgery for the same. So you always all know that swimming is one of the best sports for the joints of the body and doesn't put any load on the body. So that motivated me that I can do exercises like swimming, which I already know. And secondly, the motivation was that because of my knee injury and to decrease the risk of osteoarthritis, I had to lose weight. So something good came out of something bad. An injury motivated me to restart swimming and motivated me to reduce my body weight. So it was around 12, 13 years back. I restarted swimming. And then as I went to the swimming pool, I could do it so easily. I could do 10 lengths, 20 lengths, 30 lengths, maybe 1 kilometer to 2 kilometers very easily. So my breathing pattern was good. So that has helped me, motivated me. So that gradually I improved my swimming. With the help of my swimming and my expertise in gastroenterology myself, I was able to bring out a huge weight reduction in myself over a period of next 12 years now. So with the help of swimming. So when I lost weight from 100 kilos, I went down to 80 kilos. At the 80 kilos, because of my loss of weight, I was now able to do other activities. So from swimming, I moved on to cycling, which is another good sport which helps your knees without providing too much load on your knees. So that was the second addition to my first expertise of swimming. And as I lost more weight and became more comfortable with myself, I started to run, which I never ran before. So before the age of 48, I have never ran in my life beyond 200 meters or so. So then I started running. I took the help of good physiotherapist here in Baroda, Dr. Neha. My family was very supportive. My son motivated me. Dr. Akash Sethi is right now doing PGI radiology. He motivated me to join triathlons. And so in the year 2018, I did my first triathlon. It was a short distance triathlon of around 400 meters of swimming and 20 kilometers of cycling and running. That is what a triathlon is. You have to swim, then cycle, and run one after the other without any breaks. So 2018, I attempted my first triathlon, and in 2019, my friends motivated me that you are a good swimmer, you can do sea swimming. So in 2019, I registered for sea swimming at Malvan, which is just nearby Goa, and they were excellent competition of 3 kilometers of sea swimming. So I was able to do very good in that. I could swim 3 kilometers in the sea. Sea swimming is quite different from swimming in the swimming pool. So and then that motivated me to go for better heights in triathlon. So I registered for the Goa Ironman. It was the first Ironman event in India in 2019, just before the COVID broke out. So I was able to finish that 2019 Goa triathlon where I had to swim 2 kilometers in the sea, followed by cycling 90 kilometers in the Goa and Panjim, and then running 21 kilometers, one after the other. Uh, because of my timings, I was able to qualify for the World Championship, which was to be held next year and in New Zealand. But because of the COVID, the whole thing got postponed, and the World Championship was postponed for the next 2 years. So I ultimately it was held in USA in Utah in 2022. I was not able to go there because of my other medical issues. But I was able to qualify for that World Championship. So with that, with my injury, is the turning point in my life, I would tell. There are so many turning points in your life where you can just get disheartened and say you are already obese and you got your knee injury and now you have to live with that knee injury. But I took it the other way around. Took that knee injury as a challenge to reduce my weight and improve my physical fitness. So that has been my journey. After that, I have now participated in regularly participating in triathlons. One more Ironman I have completed in 2020 in Ahmedabad, and I'm going for an Ironman event in Bhopal in next 15 days on March 16th. In meanwhile, I'm regularly cycling and running and swimming. This has been my journey over the next last 12 years and mainly over the last 7 years.
Really, this is very interesting and really amazing to hear your whole story. This is a lovely story and really, really gives an insight and an inspiration to all those who want to reduce their weight and have a firm determination. At this time in Man Ki Baat by Modi ji, when I was hearing on Sunday on at 11 a.m., he was also discussing that even more than 70% of even India's population is suffering with obesity. I think they should follow and hear your inspirational story, and then they could inspire themselves with their firm determination. They could reduce their weight. It's really wonderful to hear you. So, sir, as you said that you did all this and is going for the triathlon swimming competition after 15 days, I just want to ask, does this hamper your practice and the family life? How did you manage all?
Uh,
That may be a question for an academician who is a busy practitioner like you. So please answer this question.
I'm one thing I'm very certain. If you want to do something, you will always find time for it. Okay, if you don't, you cannot make excuses against yourself. If you feel that you have to lose weight, then you will always find time for yourself. You have family members, but your family members see that you are doing well, they will always support you. In the sense that it's a good thing. It's not like you are doing something wrong. It's a good thing, they will always support you. So my family members, my wife, my children have always been supportive of the same. So that has not been an issue. Personally, you have to support yourself. So what I feel is family and friends will always come around if you support yourself. So if you are wanting to do something with the whole of your brains and heart and mind, then you will always find time for the same. Whether you are the busiest person in the world, but you'll always find time for the same. So time has been an issue, but never has been the main issue while doing my all activities. I've been able to carry out my work, my gastroenterology practice. In the meantime, we have grown from a single gastroenterologist to now we have 6 gastroenterologists in our team. So that helps because you have now a group practice, so you can always distribute work and maybe take some time off for the events. But still, I would say that it's your commitment which ultimately counts rather than the surroundings around you. So if once you are committed that you want to lose weight or you want to maintain your fitness, then you will always find time for the same. That's what I tell my patients who say that they don't have time. If they don't have time, then it's mean that they are not enthusiastic about it. If you are enthusiastic about it, then you will always find time. I don't want too much time from my patients. I spend regularly time, but maybe I spend 7 hours to 10 hours a week, which is okay. It's 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, or 1.5 hours a day. Sundays you can spend more time. On working day you can take breaks. So time has not been much of an issue with me.
So, sir, really, this is a even I and all the 46,000 Foxians and all the other person who are hearing you are impressed and inspired by your this story that time is never an issue. Your commitment and your determination that matters a lot. Really, that matters a lot. So, as a national chairperson of Non-Communicable Disease Committee, sir, I am concerned about diet, exercise, and lifestyle because you are a fitness trainer too. So, how does it affect non-communicable diseases?
As Modi ji has just mentioned, and previously also is mentioned in the last 1 month regularly, the epidemic of non-communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases, as we call them, is the main issue the country's health is facing today. Economics and is also affected by it. Politics is also affected by it. So ultimately, the health of the nation affects all the parts of the nation's system. So that's why he has raised this point that we have to focus on the health. So lifestyle disease or non-communicable disease uh, are the leading cause of morbidity and mortality all over the world. And we being a developing country, gradually the infective diseases are going down and the incidence of non-communicable disease is increasing. Even in infective diseases, and we all know in COVID also, it was those persons who had lifestyle diseases like diabetes or obesity were more likely to be morbidly and mortalitily affected. So even communicable diseases or infective diseases cause more harm to the people who have this lifestyle diseases. So I think they are the burning most problem. And because of my interest in reducing my weight and because of my reading, my being a gastroenterologist, I since the last 10 years, 15 years, I've been reading and I've been reading about it. I'll be attending seminars for the same. And because of this, I developed an interest and now I'm trying to motivate my patients to bring about a change in their lifestyle so that we can get hold of and get rid of these non-communicable and lifestyle diseases. So my right now for that I've started a center known as Rog Tham, which is Rog is disease and Tham is prevention. So Rog Tham is the center which I have started since last few years to bring about changes in the lifestyle of the diseases or lifestyle of the patients so that we can overcome these lifestyle or non-communicable diseases. Basically, as we all know, they are lifestyle diseases. Medicines are just symptomatic in the treatment. It is the lifestyle which is going to cure these diseases. Otherwise, these are not curable. They are just manageable. So that is why I want to focus at the root cause of these communicable diseases, which we can discuss what are the root causes and why these non-communicable diseases occur and how the lifestyle can modify these risk factors.
Right. Sir, really, this lifestyle, by this, we can prevent even the modifiable causes of the non-communicable diseases. The few are non-modifiable, like genetics and others that are not under our control. But we can very well control the modifiable causes. So, what is your suggestion? Because you are a gastro specialist also and have a very good insight about the diet and nutrition as we were discussing and you have advised us. So what advice to these type of patients who are suffering with obesity and the non-communicable diseases will you advise?
Madam, the topic is so much interesting, and I can go days and days speaking about it. The knowledge also is so much available. Only thing, the knowledge has not been dissipated properly. So it is to the patients or to the doctors who are listening to this, I can explain you few things that why we should go for lifestyle. So take a non-communicable disease, any non-communicable disease, the commonest one being diabetes or hypertension or obesity or even ischemic heart disease. All these are non-communicable diseases. Even in your field, we have infertility caused by PCOS. So this is also a non-communicable disease of the same genre. So what happens in these diseases is basically it's a insulin problem. So we all been taught that insulin is a hormone which helps in reducing blood sugar. But the main job of insulin, for as God has given us, is it's a storage hormone. It's a hormone which is used for storing fat or energy because fat is the main storage form of energy in any living being. Not I'm not talking about human body. Human body as we take it is the main storage form of energy. When you eat more, your body stores that more food as fat. Usually we can store around 400 grams of carbohydrates as glycogen, which is equivalent to around 2000 calories, which is a day's store. So we have a day's store of glycogen, but we have 90 days store of fat in our body. So body helps in storing the extra food or the extra energy we are consuming in our food bank, in our bank in the body, which is the fat bank. So the fat cells in the body, they store fat, and whenever we have deficiency of money or deficiency of energy, that fat comes back into the body as glucose, and then we are able to use it. So that is what the work of insulin is. Insulin helps in converting the orally eaten glucose into fat and storing it as fat energy in the adipocytes.
Yeah.
What has happened is basically because of our poor physical activities plus our eating habits, which have changed over the last 50 to 60 years, we have been consuming extra calories and we have not been using those extra calories. So we always have a extra energy available with us in our body. So each day maybe 100 calories or 200 kilocalories, we tend to have extra in our body. And then what has happened? What does the insulin do? This extra energy, it converts into fat. And that is how we become obese. So that is how the fat accumulates in the body, we become obese. And during this process, the insulin levels will always rise because as you eat, the insulin has to work, so insulin levels will rise. So the problem of non-communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases is a problem of insulin. Two major things, or I would say three major things, to be very simple. A problem of hyperinsulinemia or increased insulin levels, the problem of insulin resistant, because as more and more you eat, more and more insulin is released, and ultimately, as it happens with everything else in the body, if there is more of something, the body becomes resistant to it. So we develop insulin resistance. And third is the problem of inflammation. So all these three things, I won't go in deep into the pathophysiology of why hyperinsulinemia occurs, why insulin resistance develops, and then finally why inflammation occurs. But they are all three of them are interlinked. And the basic cause of all these three is the extra energy which we have been consuming since the time. In fact, you can start with the in utero life. Thus, since the time the child has been born, and then gradually he grows up and then becomes adult. So this problem of insulin resistance, hyperinsulinemia, and inflammation starts in his childhood, goes on to adolescence, and then as he becomes an adult, it manifests as a disease, what we call as the non-communicable disease. This can present in any form initially. It can present as hypertension, it can present as diabetes, it can present as fatty liver, it can present as PCOS, which is the common problem in the pubertal, post-pubertal girls, which we see. So these are the various types, but the basic cause is the same: in hyperinsulinemia, insulin resistance, and then the subsequent inflammation.
Oh, very rightly, sir. Um, because we Foxians are also saying, we gynecologists are saying that now the fetal origin of the adult disease, we have many lectures on this. So, as I have heard from you also, that the disease they start from very beginning, from the childhood, and extra calorie consumption is a reason behind it. As was said by Modi ji, our prime minister, in his talk also I have heard, he said that we all start restricting daily fat intake. Suppose we bring some definite amount of oil in our house for a month, we should cut down small amount. So what do you say about whether we should restrict the fat or carbohydrate, or what else we should restrict in our diet according to you?
Dr. Kanchan, that's a very, very important question. What, how do you manage your diet? Once we should know why hyperinsulinemia occurs. Now, hyperinsulinemia, which is on insulin resistance, basically we all know we have three macronutrients. We have carbohydrates, we have proteins, and we have fats. Now, what is the cause of rise of insulin? Is it the fat, the protein, or the carbs? Basically, the insulin rise will respond to carbs only. Proteins will produce some degree of insulin rise, but the insulin rise is basically because of carbohydrates. Now, what is type of carbohydrates. It's not like all carbohydrates can lead to insulin rise. Of course, they will, all of them will lead to increased insulin rise, but sometimes the rise is more in with some carbohydrates as compared to other. So if you want to decrease the insulin rise, which is the basic cause of this, the high glycemic index carbs have to be cut down. Avoided is a very strong word, but at least they have to be cut down. So the basic, as you understand the pathophysiology, you understand what are the high glycemic carbs. We all know sugar. So sugar is the most highest glycemic of all carbs. Then we have processed foods. All these processed foods like cold drinks or chips or breads, they contain high fructose corn syrup. And fructose is another important sugar which can cause this problem of non-communicable diseases. So second thing we have to take care of is the processed foods because they contain sugar as well as high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is a combination of fructose and glucose. So now we are know the second important cause is continuously eating. So what has happened is previously we used to eat twice, thrice, or maybe 4 times a day. Now, because of the availability of food, because of so many apps which are selling the food round the clock, availability of easily transportation, the food is now available round the clock. So instead of eating 3 times a day, we are now eating 6 times a day. Even in fact, the younger generation, the school going kids are eating so frequently. So what has happened? There's a continuous stimulation of the body with food going on. You can eat at 12 o'clock in the night. You can eat at 1 o'clock in the night. So the second problem is, first that we have understood is the carb issue. Second problem is the continuous availability of food. So second thing we have to cut down is the continuous availability of food. Individually, you have to reduce your food intake from 6 times a day to maybe 3 times a day. 2 times is still better, but 3 times is manageable. The second issue is the continuous availability of food. Now we come to the problem of proteins and fats. Now, fats are of many types. So we'll discuss the fats issue. Fats can be saturated fatty acids, which is ghee. Okay, the ghee and butter are the saturated fatty acids. Then we have the monounsaturated fatty acids, which is basically olive oil, and some amount of monounsaturated is also present in mustard oil or sarson ka tel.
Yes.
The third is the PUFA, that is the polyunsaturated fatty acid. The seed oils, which Modi ji has mentioned, is basically this polyunsaturated fatty acids. That is, there are PUFAs. Now, are PUFAs very important for the body? Of course, they are the essential fatty acids. So, PUFAs have always to be consumed. But what Modi ji has pointed out is that the PUFAs which we are consuming as oils are basically refined. They are being processed, they are heated, they are filtered. So what has happened? These oils are easily oxidizable. He has also mentioned that seed oils are not good. What is the problem with these PUFAs or seed oils? Now, what happens? We use these oils for deep frying. When you deep fry something, it easily get oxidized. And as oxidized, any substance which get oxidized, it becomes toxic for the body. So these seed oils, when they are eaten in an oxidized form, like you eat, you when you fry at home, it's okay. You fry it once and then you do not use the oil again. When we eat outside food where the food has been repeatedly fried in the same oil, this our oil is now become toxic for the body. So this toxic oil, when you eat, this is responsible for all the problems with non-communicable diseases. It can cause fatty liver. It can deposit in the heart's arteries as atherosclerotic plaques. So these seed oils, which are refined, which are repeatedly getting used and deep frying is being done, this is responsible for a major part of the non-communicable disease epidemic. So that is why Modi ji has stressed that at least cut down these seed oils, cut down these refined oils. So that is why he has stressed on oils. He has not stressed on ghee. So the other way I would say is ghee is a better replacement for all these seed oils. So you can cut down the seed oils and start increasing the quantity of ghee. Now, someone previously used to believe that ghee was an important cause of heart disease. Once you ask someone that you have heart disease, you have fatty liver, so what we should reduce the amount of ghee. Now, that is a wrong advice. Ghee is one of the best sources of good fats, best sources of probiotics. So, when you want to reduce the fats, reduce the seed oils. I don't say stop it, reduce the seed oils, use it properly. Don't use the seed oils which are there in the market, cooking food where it is getting repeatedly getting fried in. Even if you use seed oils at home, do not deep fry in those seed oils. Change your seed oils regularly. Sometimes you use mustard, sometimes you use corn drops, sometimes I use sunflower. So it's not like sunflower is good, all seed oils are equal. uh, Even you ask among me, then mustard oil is the best seed oil which is available with us, in because it is very common to North India also. So don't deep fry the seed oils. Do not change the seed oils very regularly. Discard the seed oil after you fry it once, or you can use it for tadka or curry rather than using it for frying again. And if possible, because I know refined oils are cheap, cold pressed oils are better than refined oils. So if you want to use seed oils, you can use cold pressed seed oils, but they are 5 times costly than refined. So all people cannot afford it.
For
So
example,
that is why the issue is there with seed oils.
okay, okay. Sir, it's very nice to hear from you. And these are the main queries of all of us. We are really discussing. First of all, very nice thing was told by you that glycemic index and the glycemic load and the type of carbohydrate which we are consuming, as the youngsters are coming, they are more into the computer and the modern lifestyle, that and more availability of the food on Zomato and all, they are taking too many times in a day. They should cut down it. I'm very much impressed and really got enlightened. And the other thing about the oil, we all have lot many time of discussion in diabetic forum also, when we have a discussion with gastro enterologist like you also, you have very rightly said that we should cut down the seed oil and the refrying, deep frying. Usually, I have seen they are consuming refrying and refrying, deep frying again and again the same oil. That is really very dangerous for our health. They should know it and understand it. And one very important point you brought into the notice about the ghee, desi ghee, which all have a doubt and always in the discussion that whether should we use desi ghee or not, whether this is harmful. They still understand that this makes increase the cholesterol level and that can increase the chances of heart attack and even fatty liver. But thank you very much, you clarified that doubt also. What about the protein? There are many persons who are still in doubt that whether they should consume, if they are taking egg for the protein supplementation, should they take only egg white or egg yellow? What is your fundamental? So will you explain?
Uh, we took look from the perspective of communicable, non-communicable diseases and all those things. So the we should understand that proteins are one of the most important replacements, because you have to eat. You are going to eat 2000 calories. Typical Indian diet. If you go to a typical Indian diet, it will contain around 60 to 65% carbs. This is ICMR data. This is not my data. Around 20% will be fats. The protein content in the Indian diet is very low, maybe 10% or so. Ideally, the protein concentration of a diet should be around 15%. So Indians need to increase the amount of proteins in their diet, because that is the one which is going to replace the carbohydrates. The advantage with proteins as compared to carbohydrates is it doesn't invoke a insulin response like carbohydrates. That is one thing. It, of course, invokes the insulin response, but not like carbohydrates. The second advantage of proteins is they can be used as an energy source whenever required. The branch chain amino acids can be converted to energies or glucose whenever is required. plus they are the building blocks of the human body. So they are very good for making up muscles. Now, here we come to the importance of muscles in the management, in the prevention of non-communicable diseases. So, as a person grows older, he crosses the age of 30. We start with the age of 30. He loses 1% muscle mass per year. So when you are the age of 60, you almost lost around 20% of your muscle mass. And at the age of 70, you have almost 30 to 40% of your muscle mass is lost. So what happens when you lose your muscle mass? As as gynecologists, you all know, you become more prone to fractures because of osteoporosis, and when you lost your muscle mass, you become more prone to all these fractures. So important part of muscle is to prevent injuries. More importantly, muscles are a very important storehouse of glucose. Muscles can store glycogen and muscles can use glucose. So you have to build muscles as you grow old, because the body, and as you are growing old, you are going to lose muscles. So as a exercise, you have to increase your muscle mass as you grow older. And the main macronutrient which is going to increase your muscle mass is proteins. So that is the importance of eating proper quantity of proteins. As you grow older, your body becomes resistant to the effect of proteins. A normal protein intake, as advised by WHO or ICMR, is around 0.8 grams kg to 1 gram per kg body weight. So a normal person who is around 60 kg will require 60 grams of proteins. As such, the Indians are eating only 40, 50, or maybe 55 grams of proteins. For an older person, it's better to consume 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per day. So you should go from 70 to 80 grams of proteins per day. So that is the, because you have to build muscles, you have to do exercises. A person who grows old has anabolic resistance. What does anabolic resistance mean? Your muscles become resistant to protein because you grow older. So to increase that, overcome that resistance, you have to consume more proteins. More proteins, exercise, and then building up more muscles. It is going to prevent you from all sort of injuries, and then has decreases the risk of non-communicable diseases, because muscles decrease the level of glucose in the blood. They use the glucose as well as they store the glucose as glycogen. Now we come to which type of protein, whether you have to use vegetarian protein or you have to use animal protein. Both proteins are good. Vegetarian protein is as good as animal protein. There is not much difference. Only thing, animal protein is more complete, is more easily bioavailable. All the protein molecules you are going to eat are going to get absorbed. With the vegetarian protein, because it contains lots and lots of fiber, the amino acid mix may not be as perfect, but still plant protein is very good. So you can consume animal protein, you can consume plant protein, but your aim should always be at least 60 to 70 grams per day. Regarding your question specifically to egg white. Now, egg white and egg yellow, I am in favor of eating the whole egg. The yellow contains the cholesterol and it is very good for the body. The white contains the protein, and the egg is the most biologically complete protein food we can have. It's not that all of us have to eat eggs, but those who are eating eggs, it is better to consume the whole egg rather than taking the egg white and the egg or the egg yellow. The whole egg has to be consumed.
Thank you very much for enlightening me and even all the 46,000 Foxians who are hearing you, and many other who have queries regarding the type of protein, the amount which is more and more needed with increasing age. And as you said, that egg white is necessary, but egg yellow is also necessary for the body because this contains cholesterol. And the other very interesting thing I came to know from you, that the plant protein is very good because it contains fibers too. Usually, because I used to hear from many persons, they are saying that plant protein is not good, but by hearing and enlightened from your talk that plant protein is very good because it contains fibers also. And those who are a vegetarian, is a good news for them. Uh, Thank you, sir. Sir, what are your other insights with increasing age, with the children who are growing? Usually, they are taking less of the protein. Usually, I have seen all the children, they are more liking, and especially this is the habit which is being created by their parents. They are giving more of the toffees, more of the diet like chips, etc. They are giving to more of the children, and many chubby, fatty children which are running, their parents are very happy. Do you find diabetes in growing children also? Should they restrict diet also and follow a particular type of diet also?
So for prevention of, as the important question right from the beginning, we have to think of preventing anything. In prevention is always better than cure. It is always cheaper than cure, and it is always easier to do as compared to a treatment of a disease. And treating the children, inculcating good habits is very good. It's very easy to change a child as compared to an adult. So what I see patients of 15 years, 20 years, 25 years who have come to me with fatty liver. So what has happened is these people have been consuming a high carbohydrate, or I would say highly refined carbohydrate food, and then they have been eating very frequently, taking breakfast at home, then going to school and eating, then coming home at lunch and eating, then having a snack at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, then again eating the dinner, and then maybe before night also they are eating. Many times this food will contain highly refined carbohydrates, which I've mentioned, like cold drinks or juices or chips or kurkure or burger or pizza. So the frequency of eating plus the amount of highly refined carbohydrates has led to a state of hyperinsulinemia in this young children or young generation. And then that is responsible for this non-communicable diseases, fatty liver. So what should be the first advice I would give to my patients who come to me for prevention, or whom have come to me and I found out that they have the start of fatty liver, or they were in a pre-diabetic zone, so or they have got obesity. Basically, they are all parts of the same coin. You may look at from different angles, like obesity is there or PCOS is there, but they are all parts of the same coin, and the treatment rules are the same. The first treatment rule in all these patients of non-chronic disease is to stop the refined carbohydrates. So you have to stop the sugars, you have to stop the refined food. That is my first easiest way to tell them. So if you say that don't put bonmita in your milk, stop eating chocolates, stop eating the chips, stop eating the juices, stop eating the burgers, stop eating the pizzas. Okay. So these are the first advice to children or even the young adults or maybe more elder adults. The second advice, which is very important, is to cut down the frequency of eating. Usually, I ask them to cut down the frequency of food to at least 3 times per day. You can have a proper breakfast. There is no need to count calories. Proper, nutritious, unrefined breakfast. Again, very important, don't eat the processed cornflakes, the processed oats. These are all processed. They all contains fructose corn syrup. Use natural breakfast like you homemade chapat, homemade paratha or poha or upma or eggs or chila. All these are or dry fruits. So these are all or milk. These are all good homemade, relatively less processed foods we should always consume for breakfast, and we should advise our children to consume. So the first meal should be unprocessed, and preferably the first meal should be low in carbohydrates. The insulin response is the worst in the morning. The chances of hyperinsulinemia is the most in the morning. So our breakfast should not be very high carbs. It should be like don't eat too much fruits, but don't much eat too much sweet foods in the breakfast, because that is going to increase your insulin response. The second I tell them is to reduce the frequency of eating, which I've already discussed, and then don't eat after some time in the night. So don't continuously eating at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. When we come to these causes of hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance, we should know stress and insomnia or late or improper sleep is the important cause. So don't eat very late in the night, like avoid eating after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So when you come to me for treatment, even the healthy person should not be eating too much late, and try to keep a gap of at least 10 hours to 12 hours between your dinner, and your breakfast. Sometimes it is not possible, but the longer the gap, the better your body will be. So I ask my patients to increase the time of fasting starting at night till the morning. We may call it intermittent fasting, but it's natural. It's a natural. You should stop eating after some time at 8 o'clock and start eating in the morning after 8 o'clock. So children may not be possible, but that's okay. We cannot be strict about each and everything. But whenever you eat something in the morning, at least do not make it processed. These are the things I tell, which is very simple. I don't ask them to count the calories, to eat this much calories, to eat that much calories. That can be done at a later stage. The first three things is reduce the time of eating, cut down the number of feeds, and cut down the processed foods. Regarding proteins, I always ask my patients to take proteins whenever possible. So, what are the proteins which I advise? I advise them to take lots of dry fruits. They are costlier. The cheaper ones are moongfali or groundnuts or peanuts and chana, which are the cheaper forms of dry fruits. Soya bean is a very important dry fruit which can be consumed, is a very important source of protein. Then all dals, all legumes like rajma, all chana varieties, they are very important sources of proteins. So I stress on proteins as a very important part of your meal. Suppose you are going to eat only dal, suppose you eat a chapati, a dal, then on a sabji, then there will be less protein. So you always try to eat curd with that. And if you have still trying to lose weight, cutting down the roti to one, then you better to eat dry fruits or singdana and chana. So try to reduce the carbohydrate intake in your diet and increase the protein intake in your diet. This is the protein I advise you. Then regarding the carbs, then what are the cereals you use? So that is the then one more advice which I give to my people is my patients or anyone who talks to me regarding food is to change to millets instead of wheat. So instead of using wheat and rice, why not use bajra, jawar, ragi, or whatever locally available millets are available. These millets have a glycemic index around 56, which is much less than rice and wheat. So whenever possible, use millets as a source of carbohydrates in your body. So, and of course, we have already discussed about oil. So these are the dietary changes that I advise my patients to do my for prevention of their and all my patients who come to me with fatty liver and diabetes for reversing and all those things. So the diet remains the most cornerstone of management of non-communicable diseases. Exercise is not is a very important part, but diet is much more important than exercise. Someone wants to lose weight, someone wants to get rid of diabetes, someone wants to get rid of fatty liver, then he has to uh, change his diet. He cannot just exercise and be that he is fit. He can be fit because of exercise, but he cannot lose the disease because of exercise. He has to change his diet. So this is the regarding diet. Second is exercise, which we can discuss if we have the time. And one important part is fasting. I ask my patients to do regularly fasts. Fasts are a very important part of our culture, but we have forgotten the way we should be fasting. When we fast, we should not be eating fruits. We should not be eating sabudana. These are high carbohydrate contents. So if you are okay metabolically, then it is very good to eat whatever you want in fast. But most of our Indians are not good metabolically. We are in pre-diabetic zone, we are having fatty liver, or we are having obesity. In those people, when you fast, it is better to take only tea or coffee or vegetables. Don't eat fruits or sabudana. So fasting is a very important part of management of non-communicable or lifestyle disease. So I stress on three things: diet, which changes, which I've already explained; fasting, which is a very important component. We can discuss more about fasting and why, and we can discuss about exercise if you want and if we have the time.
Really, we are enlightened by your this very good talk, and I think uh, the time is now uh, out of the limit. And thank you very much. We are really blessed by such a wonderful personality. I think we can talk and talk on this topic because we really have met a wonderful, knowledgeable person like you. we are really blessed. Now I can say that जो तिलमाही तेल है जो चकमक में आगे तेरा साई तुझ में जान सके तो जान। आपके बातों से सर ऐसा ही लगा कि हमारे अंदर इतनी चीजें हैं, इतना स्टेमिना है दैट वी कैन कल्टिवेट, and even we should control our diet. The insulin is main culprit, and we should promote more and more fasting just to have a healthy life. Thank you very much. Here, I think I thank you, sir, and our most visionary president, Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, madam, and हर रोज फॉक्सी के साथ 8 बजे we are always there for this podcast series. Thank you very much.
I thank, sir, madam. I thank Dr. Smita. I thank the team who is running the show. I'm very happy to be here and speaking something about a topic which I'm very passionate about. Uh, I'm still more passionate about exercise, as you all know. But diet is the most important thing we need to change. Everyone cannot exercise. I know only 10% or maybe 15% of the Indians can exercise. But as we all know, we all have yoga with us. We may not be. So if some any exercise which is possible should be done. So my advice to people regarding diet is already there. My advice to people regarding exercise is that it's running or cycling or swimming or yoga or strength training or muscle training, whatever you do, whatever you like, you should do. It's not like you should do running or you should do strength training or you should do, it's not like that. Whatever you want to do, you can do, but do exercises regularly. Our WHS is prescribed, Fit India movement is there, again started by our government. At least 150 minutes of exercise, and if possible, 300 minutes of exercise per week is very necessary for all age groups. I'm not talking about younger children, it's about all age groups right till the age of 85. 150 minutes to 300 minutes per week. So 150 minutes turns out to be 30 minutes 5 times a day. I think every one of us can find time for 30 minutes 5 times a day. Any exercise, whether you yoga or running or fast walking, but you should do exercise. So my parting gift in this session will be start doing exercise and follow the diet I have already advised. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. I think all the Foxians who are hearing this podcast should now start the dietary pattern which our the great legendary figure Dr. Ashish Sethi has advised, and fasting and even the exercise which he said. We all will follow you and enlighten. On each 28th, I, your host, Dr. Kanchan Sharma, will be doing a podcast with such a legendary figure. Thanks everyone for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.
Good night.